Hello bass family and welcome to Everything Bass. Hey, today we're going to go on with the series Things to Do with Scales. This is Unit 3. And to kind of give you, if this is the first video you've seen in the series, let me give you a rundown. Students often would come back to me in my early years of teaching and I'd show them a scale and I'd say, did you learn it? And they'd play it up and down and they would know the scale. But then if we tried to improvise with it, they wouldn't have much idea what to do. Or in worst case scenario, they'd come back and say, well, yeah, I did it a couple times, but it got boring, so I moved on. So I realized early on that it's helpful to give students things to do with scales, things that they can add in their practice. And I'm showing this, like today we're doing the D major scale, but you can apply it to every scale you know, every mode you know. I will say that today's exercise is a little trickier when you're doing it with pentatonic scales or blues scales, and you'll see why. But give it a shot. Still going to make you a better player. So today we're doing this thing called, we're doing thirds. We're going to do play the D major scale in thirds. Now what does that mean? Well, to get a little background, you could pause this video, go to my channel, Everything Bass with Dale Titus, and look for Understanding Intervals Unit 2. And that covers what a major third and a minor third is. Basically, when you're playing like the D major scale, and you want to play in thirds, you play like, you start with the root, and you play the third of the scale, which is you skip the second and play the third. Now, in this particular exercise, you're going to go to the note you skipped as the next note. So in this case, I skipped the E. So I played the D and the F sharp. I skipped the E. So next I start with E. I skip the F sharp and I play the G. And I think you can see what it's like leapfrogging. You're skipping a note, going back to the note you skipped, skip that note, going back to skip the next note. So it's a crisscrossing pattern. Now it's likewise down. If I start with the octave, I skip the seventh, I play the sixth. I go back to the seventh, I skip the sixth, play the fifth, go to the sixth, skip the fifth, play the fourth, and it sounds like this. This is a really great exercise. It actually does a lot. First of all, it helps further cement that scale pattern in your brain, that you'll actually really know, in this case, the D major scale much better than you did previously. Second, it's a great technical exercise. There's a lot of string skipping with the right hand, or the plucking hand. There's a lot of crisscrossing with the fretting hand. It's going to start putting some ideas in your soloing and in your bass lines. Even if you're playing a little bit of a riff and you just want to play a little idea of this, you can do this. So this is, these thirds are a really great way to kind of add to your musicality, how you hear the scale, and how you practice is how you're going to play. Now, right now I did it in a 1-octave pattern on D major. You can take this a couple different ways. You can, if you have a 2-octave fingering, or for you 5 and 6 string players, maybe you have a 3-octave fingering, do the thirds in that. You can change, as I said before, change not only the quality of the scale, you could do Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, all these different scales, but you could change the root. Like I could stay with the major scale and do that for a couple weeks and just every day try a different root, go through the 3 units at this point, go through Things to Do with Scales, Unit 1, Unit 2, and now Unit 3. And if you do that, that's a good 5 minutes of work, and then just go on to something else. The next day, take a different route and do the same process, go through each unit. So I really like this. It was also one of the first things, I think Paul Farnan was teaching playing techniques class, I believe, when I was a student at MI. And like in the first week, we covered thirds. And I struggled with it a little bit, but once I got it down, I really did find that it was more fun to practice scales, and that came into my bass playing in a myriad ways. So this one's a little tricky. Like I went kind of quickly and I said all these intervals, and if you haven't done my Understanding Intervals series, then that might have been a little crazy for you and you might have been a little lost. Fear not, there's a lot of things you can do. One is, if you're a Patreon subscriber, go to www.patreon.com/everythingbass, and that's my channel. And if for a small monthly fee, very small monthly fee, you actually can download all the sheet music. For most of the things that don't deal with sight reading, I include both standard notation but also tab. So if you're familiar with reading tab, it might make more sense for you to see it on the paper and be able to execute it. Of course, another way is to go through and study all the understanding intervals videos that I've done. They're up there now. And also, if you're not really that familiar with the basic major scale pattern, just search my channel for the major scale. And you'll see me demonstrating it, showing you different ways to memorize it. So there's a lot of ways all these pieces that I'm putting on the channel can actually help teach you a new element, and in an easier way, because I think you're going to find out that everything I'm showing relates. Most of it relates. So as you get this little element really strong, it's going to help with this new element here, and then once you get those two together, your knowledge base gets bigger, and I introduce a new concept. It's not that hard because it's all relates. So that is things to do with scales, playing scales in thirds. Practice that out. Try it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd really like to get your input. Of course, you can also email me through dtitus@daletitus.com. And we have a great, actually it's a very large group of bass players at the Facebook group. If you search Everything Bass with Dale Titus on Facebook, you'll find a group. It's an open group, and then you'll see a lot of ideas and things being shared there. I also post regularly hopefully little inspirational things from different players and different content that you can get there. It all kind of works together to build this community. Now we're going to go on to the encore item for today. And my goal is, so like today can be considered maybe a beginner to intermediate lesson. And I've been getting some feedback from players that are more advanced who want something a little more that they can sink their teeth into it. And I believe me, it's coming. We're going to be covering everything from beginner to advanced playing techniques, music theory, things like that. But in the short term, I thought I'd focus some of the encore items on maybe more advanced materials that you could just invest in and study from. And today's is another book by Scher Music Company. That's S-H-E-R Music Company. And it's Concepts for Bass Soloing by Chuck Scher and Marc Johnson. Marc Johnson's an amazing bass player, and I think a very great educator. So this book really is great, and when I bought it years ago. It came with 2 cassettes, but I believe it's available both with CDs and I think some kind of online link. But this book goes through some more advanced soloing concepts, things that you can apply to your bass playing to make your soloing a little more interesting. That's my cat Pismo. She just wants to say hi. We're going to ignore her right now. So if you're looking for, let's say you feel that, man, my soloing is, I'm playing the same solo over different songs and I don't have new ideas, I need fresh concepts, especially if you're more in the jazz, fusion, Latin areas of playing, I really like this. Now, I just said that because a lot of the examples really skew more towards the jazz side of things. However, I bought this when I was mostly playing rock and metal, and still worked it out. It really added a freshness to my playing. It got me to seeing things a little differently. So I got outside of my norm in soloing and was able to experience some new ideas. And I really like it. It's not that thick of a book, but believe me, you have years of material here to work from. So, and it's available everywhere. I saw it available on a lot of different online retailers. So Concepts for Bass Soloing by Chuck Scher and Marc Johnson. Phenomenal book. Hey, thank you for checking out the video. I really love doing these with you guys. And good news, I have some new mics coming in from one of your bass brothers. Renee Flores is actually providing me some different mics to use. And working with Ryan Patrick, we're gonna, another bass friend of ours, a family member, we're gonna definitely upgrade the audio quite a bit. The video is still shot in 4K Ultra, so I hope you guys, it's working for you guys. And I just see the channel growing. You can also help grow the channel by, hi Pismo again. If you could just like the video, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it makes me so happy when I see those subscriptions come through, and I know you want to make me happy. And you want to make Pismo happy, don't you? So if you could like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and we'll let you know every time a new video is posted. I would really, really appreciate it. And of course, as always, share some ideas. Let me know what you think. How did this exercise work for you? Are you running into stumbling blocks? Because I can shoot another video as a follow-up. No problem. Hey, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you at the next video. Pismo, you're always on TV with me.